bogey boy. You're late. Have you got the papers that Chinaman gave you?
There is, Dad. Is it a surprise?
Yes, Boogie. In the past, this information has been suppressed, but now it can be told. Every man, woman, and mutant on this planet shall know the truth about de-evolution.
Oh, Dad, we're all evil.
Hey, it's Punker Mike. Welcome to Punks for Progress. This is my partner, Reverend Aaron. How you doing, bro?
Good, bro. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to another episode of Mystery Fascist Theater, Seattle version.
Yeah, so some of you might have seen, I did a video about a week ago that was about what went down in D.C., and I just kind of ran my mouth over it. And it's kind of a cool way to narrate these things, and I think it'd be funner to have Mike here, so I don't sound like the only idiot. And yeah, so what we have is there was a fascist rally in Seattle this last weekend. About 100 heavily armed, fully strapped militia people, and Joey Gibson, Patriot Bear, and a bunch of other fascist morons showed up, had a few speeches in a square, attempted a pretty sad march, and then had a few people got on the mic after you can really, they marched, but you can't. Anyway, we'll get into the march. But what we're going to
seriously, bro. I mean, really, this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and wait till you see it. It's hilarious, actually. But what we're going to do before we get into the march, and we'll run our mouths over it, so it's not just watching a bunch of people walk down the street and shit. But what we're going to do first is we're going to play one of the short speeches from the beginning before the march, and then two of the speeches from after the march. And we're going to do that first, and then so we'll play the video of each one. They're very short. We'll play the first one, then we'll come back and run our mouths about it, play the second one, and then the third one, etc. And then we'll play the video of the march itself and narrate as we, do the Mystery Fascist Theater.
You guys are in for some fun.
Yeah. And in, I don't know, maybe I'll find some good music to throw in here and there in the post-edit too. So.
Yeah, let's do that.
So let's check this guy out first. He's obviously a militia dude. I don't know his name. I really don't give a shit. But the stuff he's saying is straight up fucking terrifying. Now, here's the reason I picked these three speakers in particular. It's because what you're going to hear is the same shit we've been talking about on Punks for Progress forever. This is the message that the primary message is. And to me, the most terrifying components of the
well, we've really been talking about it recently, that this is their, most recent talking points, too, right?
Well, one of them is, but not all of it. So, okay. Well, kind of. So, first and foremost, and you hear it in the first speaker, is they are incredibly, they worship violence. They worship violence, and they're bloodlusting for a second civil war. And he doesn't use the word civil war, but it's alarming, the shit you're going to hear this guy say. Now, the two speakers that come after him that were from after the march, but we're going to see them before the march, one in particular is this new talking point that's really grabbed cohesion around the Dinesh D'Souza film, that Hitler was somehow a liberal, as opposed to the pro-capitalist, anti-socialist who actually destroyed the Social Democrats in Germany as well as the Communist Party, and was adamantly pro-capitalist and free market. But they're selling him as a liberal now. And then they also attach that to, so what that means is the quote-unquote violent left, the liberals in America now, they're the real fascist, because they don't tolerate fascist speech, so that makes them the real fascist. Now they're saying, and not only that, Hitler was a liberal, so liberals now, you're Hitler. It's such a ridiculous Orwellian rewrite of history.
Right. Well, I mean, and let me remind, you and our listeners that, I've said this before, this agenda, this capitalist agenda, this Republican agenda is extremely unpopular. They will do anything they possibly can to get it through because it's unpopular. They have 1/3 support, and that's it. Nobody else wants pro-capitalism, honestly. They're paying their tax. So this is just one more way of them. We're going to turn this around, and we're going to call, the lefties. We're going to call them, fascists, because most people are so uneducated they don't know what the hell fascism means.
What it also does too, and you're totally right, bro. I totally agree with you. But what it also does is when we come to them and say this speech, and this is another thing I've been saying too, also for a while, is that we confront them and say, hey, look, the ideas behind the words that you're espousing and the things that you're free speeching, these are historically recognized. These are things that historic fascists have said before. And the policies and the things that you're pushing, even though you've wrapped them all up in this patriotism and, the cops are great stuff, like this is all what the fascists did in the past. And so when we confront them with them, they didn't have a response before. Now they can look back at us and go, but you're the libtard who's been tricked by the mainstream, lamestream media. You don't even know your history, bruh. Hitler was a liberal. You're so confused. And that's why you're all on this agenda. Now listen, the third speech that I picked is because it's the whole pornography is evil, and there's a huge pedophile ring in Washington. So not only are the liberals actually Hitler, they're also running the pedophile ring, which totally ties in with the Tommy Robinson narratives coming out of England, that the left in England are all involved in these huge pedophile rings, which this is all built up in the soup of Alex Jones from years ago. And so this is what we have, that the left are super, super violent, and they want war, and so they're ready this total straw man that we're out for a civil war with them, okay? Which is so ridiculous. It's just, no, you guys are bringing a fascist agenda. You're too fucking ignorant to know it's fascist, but we have to come out in the streets and at least tell you and tell history, no, humanity stood up and said no to this.
But they're pro-violent.
But that means that we're the violent left. Because a handful of, these 1,000 people that come out to these things all the time on the left, a handful of them break a couple windows and fucking talk a bunch of shit to pigs. So we're the violent left, okay? And then the right doesn't understand that property damage is not violence, and yelling at your oppressor and not licking their fucking boots with blue line flags. You fascist idiots, man. So we're the violent left. Okay, and who want war, and so now they're ready to bring it, and they're not going to stand for this war that we supposedly want. So they're, blood in the streets and shit.
How,
and then,
dude?
And then not only that, the proof that we're the violent left is that Hitler was a liberal. So liberals are the real fascists, and just for extra measure, pedophiles.
What the fuck? Small-minded idiots actually believe this?
You've
got to be kidding me!
People who have been through the American education system, bro.
I've been through the American education system.
Well, and you know what? You're also a punk rocker, okay? And so you were detached from the fucking society. You knew from a young age, and thank you that you did, because it had an influence on me to go, hey, man, maybe I might question all this shit. Most people don't do that, bro. And most people don't have time to do that. You know what I mean? On top of it, like for us, it's not a matter. For us, it's not a matter of time. It's like almost like we just realized early that, shit was all fucked up in the soup of things, and shit wasn't right. And we listened to those lyrics from those early punk rock records back when it had a real strong political conscience as a broader movement, But like, so I just don't want to be tooting our horns, but like, and I don't want to belittle these people because they are confused as fuck. No, but they're dangerous, and we can't. And you're going to see that. You know what?
Let's show this video. Let's show how dangerous this dude is, bro.
Check this dude out, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Let us dominate once again and destroy these communists once and for all. No more gun control. No more political correctness. No more safe spaces. No more acceptance of ludicrous ideals. No more bullshit. They want to fight? Well, let's fight! But let us make sure that when we fight, we bring down hell upon them and wipe them from existence. For as what is written on my arm, if God be with us, who can be against us? No long living! Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. Because God. Oh, I could go off on this. Okay, first of all, wipe them from the face of the earth. That's some scary shit right there.
Wipe them from the face of the earth.
That's scary. No safe spaces. No gun control.
Again.
Time to dominate. First thing he's out of his mouth. It's time to dominate again. No more commies.
No more safe spaces. That's a ridiculous. Like no more safe spaces.
Like there's fucking gun control now.
If they want to fight, we'll bring it, and we'll bring. What was he talking about? Bring it down like hell.
Something, yeah.
Violent left though. Because
the narrative.
People like Alex Jones, and because all these freaking fascist media propaganda outlets have been telling them constantly, 24 hours a day, that the violent left wants a civil war and is bringing it, and we're, back when we did the when I helped organize one of the ones with Refuse Fascism, remember when it was the National March for Impeachment? I can't remember the date of it, but it was like, I think it was last November. I think it was on the anniversary, N4. But Alex Jones is on his show for weeks leading up to it, saying that we were planning a civil war revolution, and that's when the Antifa super soldiers concept came up. That if anybody knows much about Refuse Fascism, they do a lot of legit standing up against fascism, but Antifa super soldiers, it's just they're not Antifa. They're not the masked up people. It was such a confused, if you really understood the conditions on the ground of who was involved, but it worked, and so people came out to these marches from the right to make sure we didn't have our violent revolution, overthrow and start shooting cops and shit, which is what they were telling them. And instead of coming off of that and going, oh wow, there was actually not one single Antifa super soldier, none of these people tried a violent revolt, they had speeches, marched, and then had more speeches. So they don't come away from that and realize, wow, everything I got all hyped up and freaked out was wrong. They just go, oh, left. I guess the Antifa super soldiers didn't have their violent revolution planned this time. To me, I would go, oh, wow, all that shit I bought into was wrong. Wow, I think I might go home and rethink my shit a little bit.
It's feeding into their fucking fear, dude.
So it's the cognitive dissonance too, man. On some level, they have to know that no, there was no fucking civil war revolution of Antifa super soldiers on last November.
What happened to the hippie left that wanted, the peace marches and anti-war? That's the violent left you're talking about.
That doesn't exist because the liberals are Hitler and whatnot. And you know what? Let's get into this next video. Let's get into this next little speech, and and we'll hear about how Hitler's a liberal.
So I'm a trans person from Mississippi. I'm from rural Mississippi. My family is very conservative, very religious. And my family and friends have been more cool with me being trans than many people out here have been with the fact that I am a Republican. I have not had any real problems with family or friends. They've all been back. I've been back home, zero problems. Being a Republican here, no, it's not something very intolerant. It's pretty wild. It's so hilarious. But you hear tolerance, but it's the reality is, the truth is, a lot of your people that you would think would be intolerant can be more tolerant, or at least understanding. They'll give you the room to live your life the way you want. Right. Okay. So that's all our speakers we have. We've got an open mic portion right now. I know I have at least 2 open mic speakers. Start with you. Come up here, introduce yourself, and speak and say what you want to say.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Let me put these down. I wanted to speak about far left violence today because my family has a lot of experience with it. My great-grandfather, Anargyrus Diakos Stamatis, is a Greek immigrant. He came from Greece during World War II. after the brown shirts, the cousins of the black bloc you see over there, brought into power the Nazi regime that allied with the Italians and brought them to Greece. He fought with hunting rifles because we had no military that could really back us up to keep fascism, socialist fascism, out of our streets, out of our villages. And I have family that has blood running through Greek soil today because of that. There are bodies in the ground with my name because of the people that inspired the people you see to our right over there.
That's right. They are the fascists.
We have a responsibility because whether it be the forefathers of ours that stormed the beaches of Normandy to fight these creatures, or whether it be the people today that stand out here, we owe it to each and every single one of them, dead or alive, to stand against this ideology that brings hate.
Right.
They're working today to take away our First Amendment.
Right.
We cannot let that happen, because that's the first step. Step one, First Amendment goes. Marxism it never stops there. They take the soil from beneath your feet. They take the crops within it that you use to feed your family, and then they take your life.
Right.
This is no longer a choice. I'm not choosing to stand up here. I feel a responsibility to stand up here and stand against you. We're not intimidated. We are not afraid. We are proud to be here. This is our responsibility, and I take this burden with honor. I just want to take 1 minute, because of all the hate they get, to thank each and every single one of my police officers here that are protecting us and protecting our First Amendment. God bless you.
God bless you guys.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you for coming up here and sharing that.
So, the total detachment from reality. Communists fought against Hitler in World War II. Okay, an entire country of them fought against Hitler. Okay, and also socialists from around the world gathered together from nations before America got involved in the war. Socialists in America went to Europe and volunteered to fight against Hitler and Mussolini. In his civil war, it was all socialists and anarchists. In the Catalonian uprisings, and when they seized the means of production, and it was Franco who shut down the socialists. It was also social democrats that fought against Hitler and Mussolini. And the Social Democratic Party or the equivalent of in Germany was completely destroyed by Hitler, as was the Communist Party by Hitler. So let's just, recap. It was communists, socialists, social democrats, and then later Republicans and Democrats from the United States got in the fight to fight against fascism. This poor, confused, fucking pissed off kid is doing such a disservice and a disrespect to his family. If he's telling the truth and he has family that's lying bloody in the dirt fighting against Hitler, you are standing up for the same exact ideologies that they died fighting against. And just because a bunch of fascist propaganda and far right-wing propaganda has convinced you that the liberals are Hitler does not make that a historic reality.
Alternative facts, bro.
It's astounding, bro. It's just taking hold. And this guy, I really want to refer people. I know we talked about this on the What the Fuck Report a little bit, but I also put up another video since then called Death of a Nation, Making Joseph Goebbels Blush. And it's a full expose into this whole narrative. We really get into Dinesh D'Souza's movie, Death of a Nation, and Ben Shapiro's been pushing this bullshit that Hitler was a liberal and all this stuff. And so I really tear into that whole topic. So I really check it out. It's called Death of a Nation, Making Joseph Goebbels Blush. But I also wanted to mention the first person, the trans woman that was sort of introducing people there.
Yeah. What's that about?
It was interesting, man, because, she said that her family, who's far right-wing, and I think she said Christian or evangelical, maybe not, but far right wingers, they were very accepting.
Religious. She said they were religious.
Yeah, okay, so she said they were very accepting that she's trans, which is fucking fantastic, man. And it's rare. And thank the whatever that, she has that in her life. That, Christian right-wing family or religious right-wing family that is accepting of her trans. It's wonderful. So then she says, okay, so I come out here and the left is not tolerant that I'm a Republican. Okay, well, now for starters, those two things are not the same.
Yeah, no,
Because you don't get to choose if you're a trans person.
Your sexuality, your sexual orientation. No.
You get to choose your political ideology. You're not born Republican. Okay? And then she starts talking about, tolerance. So she equates that to tolerance, which is a total bastardized perversion of the concept of tolerance, as opposed to, proper tolerance and proper intolerance and that kind of thing. Yes, we need to be tolerant that this woman is trans and accepting of her as who she is, and because that's who she is.
But intolerant of the fact that she voted for a fucking fascist?
Yeah, I'm going to be intolerant of that. And it has nothing to do. That does not make you oppressed for who you are as a person. Just because I don't have to tolerate the fact that you are so astoundingly fucking uneducated that you would believe Hitler is a liberal. Sorry, I don't have to fucking be tolerant of that. But I'm going to be tolerant of the fact that you're a trans person. There's nothing you can do about that. And you should be allowed to explore what that really means for you in this capitalist, oppressive, patriarchal fucking society that you're forced to live under. And now, and the last thing, and just the last thing, you notice that he fucking, he points to the fucking 1,000, counter demonstrators and points to them and says, you're the ones we're fighting against. You're the oppression. And then whips out his tongue and licks the lollipop fucking bottom side boot of all the fucking pigs standing like that.
Yeah, didn't he though?
Of
course, protecting his First Amendment right to spew hate and intolerance. Talking about tolerance.
It's like an insane bizarro cartoon from that someone made up that could never happen, like 50 years ago.
It's a Ren and Stimpy cartoon. We're in Bizarro world.
I know, man. And it gets more bizarre. So, yeah, let's get into this next one. And then,
okay.
Okay, we have at least one more person. Is he here? Is Chris here?
Patriot, Valley Patriot, right there, brother. You're gonna see a lot more of that guy.
And it doesn't have to end with him if you have some words you want to say afterwards.
Chris!
Okay, so we have at least one more after you. All right, come on, Chris.
What's up? So we were in Berkeley on the 8th, and Antifa has a thing for American flags and destroying them, and they kept on trying to take our flags. And funny, we're outnumbered, but they couldn't do it.
That's right.
They're over there today supporting pedophiles. That just shows what kind of people there are. Hey, does anybody notice that there's no mainstream media news here covering this? What's up with that? So that's just what I wanted to talk about with them taking the flags. They were jumping all over us. Still going to take our flags because the resolve of a free man is way stronger than the resolve of money. And that's all they're fighting for, is they think they're fighting for money, for free shit.
Bless you, brother. Thank you for standing.
Next week, InfoWars protest in front of Facebook in Menlo Park. Let's stand up for our First Amendment right.
What time, place, when?
Yeah. Hey, what's
the details?
I have to get the information on it, but I'll get it.
Okay. Yeah. It's on Facebook. I know where it is. I've seen it. I can't remember where it is off the top of my head either.
All right. Next week.
Yeah. Anyway, look out for that. There's a protest at Facebook in Menlo Park next week. Ryan, come share a few words.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here right now. I think, being allied with fellow patriots is really awesome, because right now we are facing, this is tyranny. And Jefferson said that rebellion against tyranny is obedience to God. And that is exactly what we're doing here today, is that we have the founders' vision that we are free men, that we have low taxes, low regulation, and we are not going to bend our knees to fascism. Now, I did want to talk, though, about some of the roots of this, because I think it's really important if you're going to deal with something. It may be controversial, but I think at the end, I think we're better off. That we all have to admit that the problems we're having with pedophilia today were not around 60, 70 years ago. As a matter of fact, 50 years ago today, as I'm talking to you, pornography, which is a lot in Silicon Valley, was first legalized by a rogue Supreme Court, the same one that 4 years later legalized abortion. So we're going to have to get to the root of this. Kinsey in 1948 came out with the Garbage Kinsey Report. Anybody who has not researched that, I think it's really fantastic. There's a great book called Sexual Sabotage, which deals with how sex outside of marriage just became a mainstream thing. And now we're dealing with the results that are going to get worse, because 80% of our 11-year-old boys are looking at porn on the cell phone. That has to be addressed. We are creating mutant pedophiles that we have never seen before in America. So, like, I mean, you crack down. Antifa over there, they don't really basically understand. First of all, there's 3 factors of them all that not one of them does not qualify for. They're either on psychotropic drugs, they're using porn, or they do not understand history. Every single one has one or more of those 3 things in common. So they have to be educated and cured and healed, as some of us do too, and some of us have been. So I just want to make that point about porn, because it's a very controversial one. But with 70% of internet usage being for porn right now, hey, all of us men have done it, but it's time for us to destroy the evil within ourselves so that we could destroy the evil in society. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. That was awesome.
Oh my God. Okay, that guy seemed a little too focused on porn. He knew his numbers way too good. Okay, he knew exactly how. Come on, we've all done it. We've all done it. Yeah, but you knew your numbers way too good, bro. Seriously. A little too focused on the porn. And just because you look at porn now, you're a pedophile? But we've all done it? So what? That makes you a pedophile. You have no clue what you're talking about.
No, a mutant pedophile.
And we're creating mutant pedophiles because, what, 80% of young men that are 11 years old look at porn on their phone now? Yeah, because you probably didn't have the sex talk with them, you fucking idiot.
Well, and if you notice, he said, all men have done it. I got news for you there, Captain.
Yeah,
a lot of women watch porn too. A lot of women watch porn. Okay, it's not just for men. And
my tattoo. If God is on our side, then we can't be wrong.
Well, and let's start out. He goes after
Kinsey. That was the other dude. Yeah, the Kinsey report. Seriously, the Kinsey report in '68.
And he goes,
dude,
you should study
that. And what was the book he read that he was spouting off about?
Yeah. So he's trying to pretend that he studied
dysfunction.
Kinsey. Kinsey was groundbreaking. What Kinsey did in a nutshell, man, was he did a study to help us understand our sexual inclinations and feelings. That's it. What are you feeling? What are you thinking when you have sex? What do you think about sex? What do you think when you masturbate? Do you masturbate? Kinsey never went out and tried to, it wasn't about making people do things except talk about sex and talk about it in a healthy way.
Research project, wasn't
it? Yeah, well, yeah, but it was about, he got. There's actually a really fantastic movie called Kinsey. If people want to see it, Liam Neeson plays Kinsey, and it's really good. But
Qui-Gon Jinn.
But there's not. It's just this dude doesn't know anything about Kinsey other than that he read a book by some charlatan who's trying to debunk Kinsey.
Right, he'd heard about the Kinsey report and how bad it was.
Right, give me a break. You don't debunk Kinsey. You learn about Kinsey. It's so ridiculous.
No, but I remember it was kind of controversial back then, man. I remember.
Well, it was massively controversial. He was getting
Mormons being all uptight about the whole fucking
He got women to say they have orgasms. He got men to say they masturbated. I'm serious, man.
Because we talked about sex. Because they talked about sex and honestly and openly for the first time.
And what was the other book that had a huge impact that came out in the 70s?
Hang on. I know about it. I know which one it is. The Height Report. That comes out all the time, though.
No. It was a book. It was a pop culture book that was let's talk about sex or everything you wanted to know about sex.
Everything you always wanted to know. That's the one exactly. Right. That was it. Yes.
So that comes on the heels of Kinsey, okay? And I'm not an expert on that at all, but it's wow, man. like I said, this dude doesn't know jack shit about Kinsey that he didn't read in some charlatan that was debunking him. And who knows, it was probably some far right winger. I don't know.
Well, look, here's the bottom line. It's open mic. Any kook can get up there. Any fucking noodle can get up there and spout their ideological bullshit.
Okay, the guy before him. First thing he gets up and goes, I don't see any mainstream media around here. I mean, the live stream that I was watching featured, it was like I forget, it's like an aggregate of a bunch of live streams. So clips from different streams all over. And whoever's doing this from I Spy live streams just finds all this stuff, brings it together, and puts it into one, right? But I saw both ABC and CBS in that live stream. So that's just bullshit. And then I was in Berkeley too, homie. Okay, nobody was jumping all over you. That's fucking bullshit, because the 500 to 600 people who tried to get there to counter demonstrate against your ass were never allowed anywhere near the park by the pigs. They were outnumbered in the park. There were people who were in the park and that did outnumber them, but nobody was jumping on them. We show video of fascists thrashing through Revolution Books' fucking book stand, man. And I was in the park and I didn't see anybody jumping all over any of the fucking fascists. That's just a ridiculous fucking lie, and he knows it. And then we all want free shit. I mean, and then I think it's important.
Wait. Oh, I have to go off on that free shit, my ass motherfucker. I pay taxes every year, and that goes to all your industrial war complex bullshit. All I want is something for my fucking money that I have to pay. I have to pay. That's not free. Guess what? My Social Security, motherfucker, not free. Came out of my fucking check. Out of my fucking hard work and sweat that I've worked for since I was 15 and a half years old. Alright? My Social Security. Not my entitlement. I earned it. My money. Nobody's asking for anything for fucking free. We want something for our money instead of a bunch of goddamn war and a bunch of corporate goddamn bullshit.
And a militarized police force and a goddamn fucking space force. You know, there's... Well, listen, look, man.
Okay, you made me laugh because I was getting really pissed there. Thanks.
I know, and I actually didn't mean to, because I think
bullshit.
We should... No, it's not war. Bullshit, because there's like, I think there's been like $100 billion allocated towards it. Something to that effect. So it's... I stopped laughing when I heard... I may be exaggerating that amount, but it's a big fuck ton of money that's being allocated for this. So it's going to be something, and it's going to be started by Trump. So Trump's starting his own army. That's kind of how I'm worried. Okay, I can't connect that, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying specifically that I know that Trump is starting an army, but it kind of feels that way. And I don't want this dude having his own fucking space force, man. Anyway, it's kind of off topic, but he did talk. I want to say this one last thing, and then we can move on to the march. But he talked about InfoWars is going to be out demonstrating against what was it, Facebook or Twitter?
I saw that.
I don't know who's up in Seattle, but that's going to be in Menlo Park. So just heads up to all the anti-fascists in Seattle. Apparently, there's a fascist march in Menlo Park this coming up weekend. We're recording this right now. It's the 19th, so Monday. So
today's the 20th.
Okay, so yeah, just heads up on that. And so we can get into the march. Now, look, it's really great. So they had their couple little speeches, and then they tried to march. And as you'll see, they start off, and they're woohoo, they're going down the way, and they get about a block. And it's obvious that they can't go any farther, because even though they have massive militarized police protection, there's so many goddamn anti-fascists that they have to all fucking turn around and split and pick another route. And then you'll see as we go through it, they pretty much just kind of aimlessly wander around for a little while, and then a few of them make it back to the square where they held the original thing, and that's where we saw this sort of open mic thing is after that. But let's get into it. But before we do, bro, I think we should chill, because that's a whole lot of fucking fascism that we just had to end. A whole lot of really stupid. So we should just play some music and chill for a sec, and then we'll come back and narrate this damn march. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that.
Get fucked up,
Okay, so what you see is, so they're getting ready to march. So the cops are all coming out on their bikes.
Yeah.
And clearing out the street and creating line. Look at facing off against with all their batons and their fucking riot gear out. So these 100 fascists can talk about Hitler being a liberal and how everyone's on psychotropic drugs and pedophiles.
Because, free speech.
And just look at it, just strapped, guns and bulletproof vests and...
It's called riot gear, bro.
I'm talking about these freaking fascists.
Oh, them? Oh, yeah, totally. Look at that.
These guys guns
because they want violence.
Look at them, because the violent left. They want it so bad. That's why it's so easy for them to believe Alex Jones and that shit and all this, and Tucker Carlson about the violent left. They're ready for a civil war.
Exactly.
They've been out in there frickin' shooting their guns out in the frickin' wilderness and planning for the apocalypse or whatever the next big thing is where they get to go be some gun-toting hero.
Bruh, it's called video games. There's not a whole lot to do out in the middle of fucking nowhere except play video games, and a lot of them are shoot up video games where they're the hero and they get to go and shoot up a whole lot of bad guys and get to be the fucking good guy. I think that's part of it. Come on.
But there's video games all over the world, the same goddamn video games.
Yeah, and
video games are not why fascism is happening.
No, I agree with that, but I mean, I think that plays into their violence.
Guns, and we have always glorified guns.
Right, I agree. But I think that plays into this violent and also this narrative that they're going to be the fucking hero. They're going to come in there with their guns blazing and they're going to shoot the shit up and get rid of the bad guys, and they're going to be fucking heroes because that's all they have to live on.
They just want to be heroes because they don't have anything in life, and they get to listen to this asshole Joey Gibson right here and other people tell them that they are heroes. So not only does their life all of a sudden have meaning now, it has really great meaning. They're fighting the pedophiles that are the real liberal fascists. Look at this armada of fucking cops, man. Hundreds of thousands of dollars it costs to do this, to pay all these fucking people and get all this fucking gear out. Ugh, these cops just love it too. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just going off to myself apparently because my mic was muted. But I was just saying, that I mean, basically they are the violent. They're waiting for the violence just as bad as the fucking the right is, and I said they're just basically the right as well. But I mean, they're waiting for just something to happen so they can get their batons out and go beat the fuck out of somebody.
Okay, so this is Rufio Panman. This fucking. So his claim to fame, Mike, is in Portland about a month ago when Patriot Bar had their rally that lasted 6 minutes before it got declared a riot. In the melee that all these fascist thugs started in Portland, that dude, he wants a skinhead, dude. He wants a proper fucking anti-fascist skin. He punched him laid him out with one punch, okay? So now he's a leader in this movement, and he's a hero. And not only that, dude, Alex Jones flew him out and did a whole fucking hour segment with this fucking shithead because he punched that dude so hard he knocked him out with one punch. Now listen to him.
Another chant his name.
Yeah. And you know who Rufio is, Mike?
No.
So, have you ever seen the movie Pan, by chance?
No.
Did you ever watch that with your kids? The Robin Williams remake of Robin Williams?
Oh, Peter Pan.
Peter Pan.
No, it's been a while. That came out 80s. I don't think that was one we watched with them.
Okay, so you don't think you've seen it. Well, anyway, so
I'm
Rufio
familiar with it, though, yeah.
Rufio is a character from that movie. He's one of the main Lost Boys. So, like, Robin Williams has grown up and forgotten that he's Pan. And when he gets back to Neverland, there's this dude, Rufio, who's all crazy, and he's all about the ruckus, and he's leading the Lost Boys until Pan realizes he's Pan again. And so they're calling him Rufio. And in Pan, the movie, all of the Lost Boys chant, Rufio, Rufio, Rufio. Like, I wish you could see how hard I'm holding my temples. That this is their hero. And they're chanting his name like it's a Peter Pan fucking movie. Because he punched someone real hard. So he's a hero and a celebrity now, man. Just fuck.
Because they glorify violence. That's what they want.
Left. We're the violent left.
They want that narrative so they can justify their violence.
Now here they come up the street, and they're about to come up on the. And there it is. That's it. That's as far as they get. And you know, the flag right up front. You'll see, if you notice. You can see it. You make me go home with your frickin' massive army of cops. You know, it's like the fucking bully who's also the teacher's pet.
Right,
you know?
Right. That stands behind the teacher going, ha ha ha, I got you.
Fuck you, do something now. And they all have their own guns and their own fucking bulletproof vests and all their fucking helmets and all their shit, man. Because they're tough, they're not taking it. But look, they can't go anywhere. They go right, they go left. There's nowhere to march.
Is that a Puerto Rican flag that dude's waving?
No, I think it's Texas.
Oh.
It may not be Texas, but I've seen it before. It's a southern state.
Okay. Yeah, I can know my flag.
But the one flag that they marched that was leading this march was a Pepe flag.
My God. You hear that? I'm being called a Nazi.
Well, I agree that we shouldn't call them all. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think we should call all these people Nazis. Not all those people are Nazis, but I'll tell you what, they're all fucking fascists, and they're all bigots, and this is fascist. And later in the march,
they're marching in support of fascism.
Well, but that doesn't make you a Nazi. Mussolini was not a Nazi. Franco was not a Nazi. There's different types of fascists. This is much more akin to Italian fascism than it is to German.
Nazi
but, and they chanted that for a little while, but later in the march they switched, and it was fascist go home, and they really stuck with that throughout the rest of the day, which I was like, cool. And a bunch of them are Nazis. I'm not trying to, but like, I just think it's important to be real accurate with who they are. Look at these 3% fucking idiots.
Yeah, all geared up like they're ready for fucking war.
Yeah.
Because they are.
They are.
I would say you show up like that is not a peaceful protest.
And then just listen to a dude talk about how they have to, what was it? Hammer down on, here they go. USA! Oh, we gotta go this way now? See, they don't even know how to coordinate a fucking march. They're just randomly walking anywhere.
Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing.
No, we can't go this way now. No coordination. Maybe you don't have a fucking march route mapped out ahead of time that you could have told, I don't know, the leader of all these fucking fascist pigs on the bikes and shit. coordinated ahead of time. This is the route we want to march. Nah, these fucking people are too stupid to realize that's how you do things.
What? Or they did, and Antifa shut him down.
Could be. Well, I don't know, because I mean, their starting point and their end point is the same place. There's that Pepe flag I was talking about. See, it's like a USA flag.
Yeah.
But their starting point and their end point were the same. Normally, you have a start point for your march, and you rally, and then you march to your end destination, right? Like, they end up back at the same place. And if you watch, they just randomly just going anywhere now. And it's all shoveled now.
And the cops don't even know what the hell they're doing.
I don't want to know what this flag is, and I don't. If anybody watches this, if you could please put in the comments what this. It's like a Trojan skull, and it looks like.
It's like a Spartan something, not a Trojan.
Yeah. Thank you. And it almost looks like. You can never really get a close enough look. It almost looks like it's runes. I don't know what that flag is. But it has that cross underneath the Spartan thing. I'd like to know what that is. Could be absolutely nothing. It could be a freaking comic book series for all I know. But like, hey, Joey. You know, in the original live stream, I don't have control over the original audio. The person who originally live streamed this chose them chanting USA over listening to what this guy had to say. I would have been really interested in him. Look how calm he's staying. And there's a lot of people yelling up in his face, and he's staying, look at that, and he's staying calm. I really would have liked to have heard that conversation.
Right, and look at these guys with their gloves on and stuff, like they're ready to just punch him.
Yeah, Proud Boys motherfucker.
And he flipped him off, and...
Yeah, just keep saying his thing, and look, he's calm, and like...
Look at that Jew over there, he's got his brothers with him.
What he's saying is his friend is Jewish, so we can't be Nazis. We're Jewish. You're so he's trying to accuse anti-fascists of being anti-Jew. Because if you're Jewish and you believe in fascism, somehow that makes me, and I'm against you for believing in fascism, somehow that makes me anti-Semitic.
This poor old lady's got her head so far up her ass, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's going to really try to discuss and change this guy's mind. Because, you know.
And then, big man, come save the day, heroes over here.
Yeah. We're video streaming this, so.
Yeah.
You with all your damn,
I gotta tell you, man, one of the things I have noticed is there is such huge uptick or growth in the amount of really not like fucking elaborate camera gear on the Fash side. From what I saw a year and a half, 2 years ago to now, it's just they have a incredibly way more. I sound like an idiot. I can't find the right words, but they just have so much more expensive gear, better equipment now, and it's because they're making all kinds of money doing this. Because they're live streaming
support of
and
corporations and you know these dark money groups are fucking feeding all this into it because this is that's how they're going to make it.
Well, no, look, man, a lot of these people got 1,000 people watching these live streams donating money.
Gee, that's
nice. Why they have to go out and do this. That's why they have to go out and march all the time, a lot of these people, because fucking it's an income for them now. They have huge followings on these things. You watch these fascist live streams, there's 1,000, 2,000 people watching them. And I'll skip from one to the other to the other. That's how they buy all this elaborate gear and shit. I mean, not all of them. A lot of these people are fucking, you know, middle-class, blue-collar people with good jobs, and they can afford to buy that shit too. You know, that's no bullshit, but not all of them. A lot of these are a bunch of ignorant people on look at this guy.
Yeah, who is this dude?
Yep, let's see what else goes on.
The whole way. You got that. I mean, it was some kind of Greek shit. I want to know what that says on that flag. Check this shit out, dude. So they spot some counter-protesters. And more, you know, woohoo, we got the cops. Yeah, fuck you. And now here they go with the R streets.
Our streets! 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 Our streets!
Yours and the cops. That's right. Yours and the cops. That's whose streets it is. The mass of the Seattle community does not fucking want you there. That's right, for real.
Man, there's some tough men in that group. I want to be like those guys. They're tough. They call names.
They call names. They're like,
hide behind cops.
America,
man, they're tough.
Our
it's really easy to be tough when you got a bunch of fucking gang members and, you know, carrying guns with you, marching down the street.
For what? For what? What are they marching for? The imaginary pedophiles in Washington and the liberals that are Hitler.
Right. The liberals.
And don't jack off and quit watching porn. And
they're marching against communism and socialism.
Which is fascism now, apparently.
Which is fascism, because it's all the same.
Even though the communists fought against them.
It's all the same. If it's not capitalism, it's un-American. And if it's not capitalism, it's fascism.
The guy in MLK Park just a couple weeks ago was telling me that, you know, Hitler was a socialist capitalist. So he was all of it.
Well, and that dude in the beginning was saying, you know, they fight against the communists and the socialists. Which one was it? Right. Because they're not the same.
They're not the same, and they fought against each other. The socialists and the communists fought against the fucking fascists, who were Hitler and Mussolini, who were far-right fucking capitalists. Watch the Dinesh D'Souza movie I put up, the Death of a Nation, Making Goebbels Blush, and it talks about how, you know, Hitler was so adamantly opposed, like. From cover to cover, Mein Kampf is him railing against Jews and Marxism. And it was ultimately about saving capitalism. That was what was going on all over the world. That's what was going on in World War II. It was that capitalism was about to seriously fucking crash. We had the Great Depression in the United States. The economies were crumbling all through fucking Europe. And in that freak sesh, all these fascists rose up and said, we can fix it right now, just do this, we'll just take charge and we'll fucking force everybody, blah blah blah, and you know, don't pay attention to capitalism over here, it's the Jews, or you know, it's these guys, or, you know, the same shit that these people are saying today. No, it's not capitalism, it's the immigrants, it's the liberals. The pedophile rings in Washington.
Oh, here's this guy again. This poor liberal.
I wonder if he's Comedy Central. Like, seriously. And he just stands there and fucking 10 people at once yelling at him. I sure would like to know who that dude is.
Yeah, it looked like they were going to hit him. Okay, so that dude with the green cross on his back, is he medical marijuana guy?
Yeah, medical.
Yeah, buddy.
I love you. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, oh my God.
Look at this fucking Proud Boy motherfucker.
Right? with his cop helmet and everything. And his gloves and his elbow pads. He's ready for a fight. I've never been to a protest and went ready to fight.
What he just said here is crazy thing is we have more color on our side. So let's talk about diversity. First of all, you can't get anywhere near the anti-fascist crowd because the cops have kept you so far apart. And a lot of them are wearing masks, so you don't have the slightest fucking idea. But let's do it, Mike. Let's count. Let's start looking at these people.
Okay, I saw maybe that one lady.
White person.
They're just, it's all I've seen so far. I mean, but let's.
Okay, so white person, white person, white person. I think that was a woman of color. All of a sudden, the feed gets all slow and freezing up.
Parking lot Patty. Barbecue Brenda. How about that? No, that's a white kid.
I mean, I'm willing to. There's got to be. I'd say what 5 or 6 probably people of color with them.
No way.
Maybe even 10.
People of color aren't that stupid.
No, there's people of color with the fascists all the time. Every
really?
Time there's always there. There's Latinos for Trump, and there's always 2 or 3 black dudes there. There's always a handful of people of color on their side. But for him to say
more diverse,
yeah, give me a fucking break, because it's just white person, white person, white person, white person, white person, white person, white person. Oh, person of color, white person, white person, white person. You know.
Whose streets? Our streets. Make America great again, one step at a time.
Yep. You're making America really great.
You make it greater by shaving that little freaking beard he's got off.
Thank you, officers. Thank you, officers. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
I don't see any people of color in that crowd.
No.
I see a Proud Boy right in front of me. What with the damn horn already? Is that Antifa or is that them?
Oh, that's Antifa.
Okay.
Or, it's... And let's be clear, it's the citizens of Portland.
The counter protesters
who relate to being, and I'm sure that there's people there who carrying Antifa flags, but I'm sure there's Black Lives Matter there. There's all kinds of people, and just fucking people who are like, no, we heard the shit that you're all about, and we don't want you here. So that's it. They freaking wander around the streets for a little while, and they end up back in that goddamn same spot, and there's a shit ton less of them once they get back, and they have a few more speeches and then do that open mic thing there where we saw those last few idiots talk. But I don't know, man. Let's play some music real quick, and then we'll come back and wrap this shit up. What do you say?
I say that's a good idea. Wow, dude. What a bunch of mixed up motherfuckers.
I know, man. And, so there it is. That I guess that's Mystery Fascist Theater Seattle version.
Right.
But, I think it's important because I want people to see the continuing narrative that's out there and the things that it's the same thing that they're saying, and it's the same totally unfounded, ridiculous Orwellian rewrite, and that they are, look, they didn't get their violence because, they had 1.5 billion pigs keeping them from the people that they hate and want to kill. And you hear that guy, and to you, we have to bring hell down on him. Is that what the guy said?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Hellfire and damnation and wipe them off the face of the earth. And then one dude called them creatures. He called the left creatures. Yeah. So people on the left aren't even human. We're creatures. So that gives them that justifies their hatred and their violence towards us because we're inhuman. So now we're subhumans.
Yeah. Because we're Hitler. Because Hitler was a liberal, says Dinesh D'Souza.
Because they have no idea what fascism is.
Listen, that guy, when he was talking about his Greek family and the blood in the ground and they're dead and all that, he was passionate. He believes that liberalism and socialism is what Hitler was. It's really scary, man. And
sad because his family was actually fighting against fascism, like the real true thing. And he's got so mixed up that he thinks that in his eyes, they would, in his mixed up, they would actually be the fascists. He doesn't get that at all. Because he's believed this fucking propaganda that's been put out there that the right wing just sucks up. Because we've got, Citolini discrediting any kind of mainstream media, which is, in the past used to be regarded as the fourth estate, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. That we looked for the media to call out our politicians and our government on stuff. Now we just say that, they're liars and anybody can spout anything they want, on YouTube. Hello. Right. And these guys believe it without having anything to back up what they're saying. You've obviously proven that to us and to our our listeners that they have no idea what they're talking about. They've never read anything or educated themselves past a high school diploma if they're lucky, and they're lucky they have that. If they have that. Anyway, that's enough out of me.
Yeah, and you get to be a hero if you punch some dude real hard.
Yeah, like you were saying, that one dude, yeah.
Become a meme, then you get to be a hero and lead marches. For what, guys? For what?
But then you might lose your job because the left's going to find out who you are, and we're going to post your face all over our YouTube and our Facebook, and we're going to get your ass fired.
Well, that's why a shit ton of people didn't. Well, for the Charlottesville 2, the Unite the Right 2, a lot of people didn't come out for that. One, because they didn't want to be doxxed and lose their jobs and shit. But two, a lot of the far right and the real hardcore fascists don't like Kessler, the guy who organized it. And you can see, there was that was supposed to be the big blowout and whatever and the huge thing. And there's much more people at this. I think the West Coast has a serious, especially the Northwest, has a serious fucking problem. And, Orange County and then the Northwest, there's a lot of these fuckers, man. And you saw them, man. They're all strapped and ready to go, dude.
They hate. They're filled with hate. That whole thing. Come on, dude. You can't look at that and go, oh, this is a peaceful protest and we want love and unity. And no, this is about hate and fuck you and we're going to kill you and wipe you off the face of the earth. Now, who's violent?
Right.
Now who's violent? Wow, I didn't hear anybody saying they wanted to wipe anybody off the face of the earth at the Women's March. Did you?
No.
What about the second Women's March? I didn't go to that when you did. Did you hear anybody talk about wiping anybody off the face of the earth there?
I did not.
Even when I was in San Bernardino marching, I didn't hear anybody talk about wiping them off the face of the earth. We just wanted them to get off our fucking corner.
Right.
So, how, yeah.
I don't know. And look, let's go out on this. I want to play this. We played it in the last What the Fuck report and everything, but I want to play it again. And it's it's a quick clip of Trump Jr., who hosted the premiere of Dinesh D'Souza's Death of the Nation, which is really what has kicked this narrative into high gear. And so just if for anybody has any illusions that the administration is not connected to this blatant fascist propaganda on the street,
bingo.
Let's play this and get out of here. And
right,
I love you, bro.
I love you too, bro. Talk to you later.
Cool.
Been out hearing the left talking about all these things, fascism, Nazism on the right, and when you look at the actual history of how these things evolved, and when you actually look at that platform versus the platform of the modern left, you say, wait a minute, those two are really heavily aligned and frankly contrary to the right. And so it's really more about just having actual real history being out there. When people talk about these things, you can't just spew that because someone told you that in a history class when academia and everything has been so influenced and so wrongly influenced by the left. So I think it's important just to have that message out there based on actual facts, based on actual history, because it's just not what we've been told. And I think when you look at the movie, you'll see that there is a very distinct and clear difference between what actually happened and what is being sold to our youth today.
And how is it that we could really off-ramp what's going on today, sort of reduce that negativity and get back to a place where we're not trying to, attack everyone all the time?
Well, I think you just got to talk about the facts. You got to talk about the history. You got to look at the platforms. I mean, one of the most interesting things, I put it out on my social last night, was when I was watching the movie before this to make sure, hey, am I coming to something that makes sense? Is, you see the Nazi platform in the early 1930s and what was actually put out there as there, and you look at it compared to like the DNC platform of today, and you're saying, man, those things are awfully similar to a point where it's actually scary. And I mean, to me, that was one of the most striking things I took from the movie, and it's because it's the exact opposite of what you've been told. When you have, a bunch of kids in dreadlocks running around screaming about fascism and all these things, it's like, wait a second, have you actually taken a history class? Do you actually know what these words mean that you're running around and spewing? And I think they don't.